Hey hoes, my name's Crit.
I'm Vi.
And I'm Donato.
And welcome to Island Fever, where grown-ass Pacifica people talk about doing grown things. And today, let's talk about sex.
Ew.
We're gonna...
Finally.
No, for real. No, our last 2 episodes have been pretty tame, I'd say. And so I feel like it's time to ramp it up a little bit because, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Let's put it that way.
A whole
Let's
lot.
spice it up.
I mean, I really want to get into, like, where did you first learn about sex to begin with?
Let's talk about sex, baby. For me, let's see. My first encounter with sex was actually pretty young, and it's a weird thing to talk about, but what's fascinating for me as an adult now, trying to unpack much of that younger experience, is I think there was a level of my Fa'afafine identity that it was just presumed that I was like sexually promiscuous from a very young age, right? I remember there was an encounter, this is so embarrassing. There was an encounter where it was non-sexual, but I had a little bit too much hot Cheetos. And if anyone's familiar with what it can do to your tummy, you know, she went to the bathroom and it came out red. And I was like, this is really embarrassing to admit, but whatever, I'm gonna run with the story. Anyway, I remember telling an elder about it because I was afraid that I was bleeding down there. And I didn't know like what was going on. I think I was about like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And there was this like, from the elders kind of like, this thought that like, oh, were you doing something you weren't supposed to, as in sexually, right?
Yeah.
And like, I was like, what? Hell no. It wasn't foreign to me, like knowing what sex was about, but like I had not been sexually active at that young age, right? But just the thought of that for me like created shame.
Yeah.
And so when I finally did have my first encounter when I was like a freshman and the guy was a senior in high school, yeah, of course was not going to talk about it to anyone because yeah, it was embarrassing, but...
Wait, do they have sex education classes in American Samoa though?
No.
Okay.
I'm like, what do they call it?
Wait, did you go to a Catholic school though, or?
I went to so many schools.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah.
at one point, yes, I went to a Catholic elementary, St. Teresa in Leone.
Yeah.
We went to like a Catholic college, Chaminade in Honolulu. But like, because of my parents' separation, there was often times where I'd move schools a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, at none of those schools were they talking about sex, like formally in that way,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh.
So was that weird, like for me to like tell this hot Cheeto
that's real
story?
and raw. We're here for it. And okay, so to your point, I think what's interesting is a lot of us are not educated about sex. And we have these experiences where it revolves around our body before we actually start to link the two in any way, shape, or form. So for me, there was no sex education.
Yeah.
I think the silence around sex is the education for a lot of us Pacifica people, which is what makes it a very taboo topic because it's not talked about.
Yeah.
And that in itself is our education.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we did have sex education at my high school, which I'm really shocked that there wasn't any like in the States because I feel like New Zealand and a Catholic school as well. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of...
What did they talk about?
Well, I mean, they didn't really talk about a whole bunch. They just basically said how babies were born, right? And I remember Mr. Hunt took all the boys and Miss Colton took all the girls. And basically, we would have been 11 and 12. The girls got their pads for the first time, but they had their course and they had their discussion. And then they came to us and they basically just told us how we might ejaculate at some point. But I wouldn't like masturbate for the first time until I was about 13. Well, I mean, I'd explored and,
Like connected with your body.
Exactly.
Until 13.
That sounds like a very like...
That is a beautiful way to put it. I'm no longer masturbating. I'm connecting with my body.
Oh my goodness.
No, I mean, this is just a very, delicate way to put it. But yeah, Mr. Hunt came and told us that, you would insert your penis into a vagina and that's how you make babies. And we had all sorts of questions like, well, what happens if you just like go in there and just stay there. And he's like, well, it wouldn't be a good time. And we're like, wait, what? But yeah, I think my first actual exposure to sex, it wasn't the greatest one, I'll say. I was basically in bed with family, and I wasn't touched or anything, but I was well aware that something was going on and I wasn't comfortable with it. And so I remember running to someone else's bed in the middle of the night and just crying myself to sleep. And and then just no one talked about it the next day. And that happened a few times, you know, and I would have been about, I want to say around 8, 9 years old when that happened. And so, that really shaped my, just my relationship with sex, to be honest. Yeah.
Did it at all, like, I'm out of curiosity, with your body laying in that bed or that space, did it at all create any feeling that felt uncomfortable or like you were not safe or uneasy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were my safest place on earth. And so for that to kind of be like turned upside down was, it was a lot of confusion. And
I would even say, like, for a lot of people, especially kids or young adults who haven't had the opportunity to even connect the two, like your body, your genitalia, your like pleasure, desires, like anything like that feels confusing.
Yeah.
So to have confusion and like this feeling of fear at the same time, we automatically will tie it to sex as like this overgeneralized statement, like sex equals I'm uncomfortable, it's not safe.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll get to what that leads to in your adult life.
Right.
Yeah.
But just general understanding,
Yeah.
It's interesting. Our places to start are so different, right? Like I'm going immediately to like when I was first penetrated, and like you're going to like where your first awareness of like this is, right?
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm maybe learning about myself is like, that's interesting. But also, as I think deeper about it, because you're making me think deeper about it, is like I almost can't pinpoint when I was never aware.
Yeah.
Almost about sex, right? And interestingly enough, I was also like the kid where my older cousins would even talk to me about some of their experiences and ask me for advice. I'm like, I'm like single as a Pringle, no experience, like the youngest of you all, and you're unpacking all of your dating like advice and experiences and discoveries of like sex with your partners and like asking me for help. But like I'm also like picking up and recalling experiences where even from a young age being sexualized as a young feminine person, a young feminine boy at the time, by like older male students that like oftentimes would like objectify my body or like make an assumption to like engage in sexual like advances. Like one common thing me and the other Fafa fingers would talk about is like the shook experience, right? Is like if you're a young queer person, especially like male presenting but feminine, or young Fafa finger, so many of us relate to the story of like merely just walking to the street, like to the store, and like being catcalled, and it's the shk. So I love me. So it's just a lot pokey.
Yeah.
Like so like. I can't not remember a time throughout my upbringing where advances like that were made to me as a young kid. And so it's weird to think about because it's almost, it's sad. It's sad. It's like there's this target that is like put on you as a young feminine person that's like expressively feminine, that oftentimes other boys would like try to exploit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if you have this experience of feeling disconnected from your body, how later on in your adult life that translates to how you might seek control, safety, how you might cope, which is why we're here to talk about sex. So can we get into some of the fun shit now? from the therapist.
Well, what's a kink, first of all, before we start getting into what our kinks are? Like, how would you describe a kink?
So hot take from my human self, I believe that our kinks are really just our personal preferences with context, like our desires that are a little more specific, if you will.
Okay. So what are some of those specifics, Donato?
Listen, I am such a slut. I am a nasty ass bitch. I've done this, that, and the third. It's hard for me to pinpoint a kink.
Yeah.
I'm open. I will do anything once or twice. and maybe several dozen more times. And they're ever evolving. Like anytime somebody asks me like, oh, what are you into? It's so tough for me to answer that question. And in fact, I'm like, oh, boring, move on.
Yeah.
Like I love to meet someone and create an experience together, right? I don't like to predefine or predetermine what that can look like. Now, if you're asking what turns me on, gifting turns me on. Money turns me on. Like the fact that you would want to give me something, right? Or pay a certain level of attention to me, like without me needing to ask, right?
I almost feel like that could be a kink.
So is it kind of like worship almost, or?
Kind of, I mean, people are like, so does this make you a findom? I'm like, listen, I know I'm always going to be like taking care of my own needs. I don't need anyone for that. But if you want to be in the realm of Donato and know that just naturally I am a value add in any situation.
Okay.
Like, don't be in here to suck my energy or take from me.
Right.
Like, know how to give back.
In other words, you probably wouldn't like someone who's super submissive. Is that fair to ask?
I like both.
Okay.
I like both qualities. Yeah.
I would have assumed the other way, because I would have been like, worship you and then let you take control. Like, is that gifting in a sense, or I guess it depends,
I
right?
think yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a level of worship to I guess the things that just help make it more exciting for me.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm like is a must.
Yeah.
In order for me to feel closer to you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's almost something that like I'm silently identifying is if that's just naturally how you show up too, because I know I'm generous, right? And like when I say generous, I'm like generous of my time, my resources, my energy, and yes, my money. So like, can you be that too or not? Otherwise, because you know, and oftentimes when men engage with the girls, especially with like my sex worker background, is like we are assessing a lot of these qualities in men to know what it is that they can bring to the table, to know how far this can go. Right.
Yeah.
And so typically we'll be like, are you Jen? And they're like, who's Jen? Bye. If you don't understand this lingo, you might not have been through a couple of dolls yet. I'm not going to start at level 1 with you. Because you might be shocked when I say, $1,500 for an overnight.
Oh, shit.
Hello.
Yo. When you talk about how far you can take things with someone, do you mean like in the long term, or just in that moment, or like, is it?
Yeah, for me, I'm always prospecting for the long term, right? If you're only looking for something immediate and quick and right there, sure, I can give you that, but that's going to be at a different cost, right? And maybe this ties into like where I am just now is like, I aspire to be a one man woman. Does that make sense?
Or something like that.
Yeah. Or like, fine. Like I aspire to monogamy. I want to be a kept woman. I want to settle down. I'm done playing around. All of that things. Like I've done it all. I just want my person that can hold all of the beautiful facets of me. What I've experienced is in dating, especially, is a lot of people that I see are more interested in the fantasy of me.
Yeah.
In the idea of me, in exploring and exploiting my body, right? Is you might put on this whole facade to try to get at me, right? Size up, talk me up, make all these promises.
Yeah.
And then when we have sex, the energy shifts.
Yeah.
And that's not because I'm terrible in bed. I get really great reviews.
Let us be clear.
It's because they've got what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not alone in that. So many women that I talk to, they also share very similar experiences, whether or not you're cis or trans.
Yeah.
Is like a lot of these men are just out here in these streets trying to increase their numbers.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, my numbers are greater than yours. That's not
Stand
a flex.
down. Stand
That's
down.
not a flex.
I think going back to what you said about control,
Is the control thing from season 1 or something?
I mean, I've definitely brought up control, needing it because I didn't have it in a lot of spaces growing up, but particularly that instance that I described. I need control, but I don't really demand much. Like, I'm very simple. I'm very basic in what my needs are, and that's just play my nipples, like look into my eyes, kiss me, or whatever. And I think that is the fantasy for me. The kink is like the whole, I think because ultimately I desire love too. I think everyone wants love ultimately, right?
Yeah.
But I want to have a partner. I want to be in love. And since I don't have that, I'm like, let me just fake it, and at least get it in that moment or pretend I have it, right?
I would name some of these things like underlying as like, okay, I'm just going to say this, but agree or disagree in the comments for the engagement, okay? Sometimes our kinks are layers of our unmet needs. Sometimes it's pain. Sometimes it's desire to feel safe or validation. And there's a lot of people who probably wouldn't agree with that. But essentially for me personally and as a therapist, I really do see how it shows up.
Yeah.
Whether that's for me personally or people that I've talked to or my own clients. And even just hearing the two of you, like money, how the equivalent is to power or some level of like say so, right? Agency. For you too, Chris, like the basic things probably feel really safe. Like the connection piece, the safety of look me in my eyes so you see me, not just.
No, I'm so embarrassed. Like,
is
I'm
the
actually,
library open?
No, I'm actually kind of embarrassed talking about it because it's like I know it's not love because we don't even know each other, right? Like when I am having the sex, but like I will actually tell someone to say like, tell me you love me. That's wild that I'm saying this, but it's something that I really want, and it's like,
Yep.
and it's not something I will ever experience if I continue to do that, right? So yeah.
I don't know that that's true. Like that you won't ever experience it if you continue to. Well, like, do you mean like if you continue to enjoy those specific kinks?
If I continue to just have casual sex with men.
Oh, I mean, even that, I would challenge that narrative.
You can fall in love during casual sex. I've done it all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like for me, I don't know, maybe this is the actress or the performer in me, and the empath is like, in any experience, I will full on give myself to the experience. If in the moment I'm feeling love, I'm not afraid to name it. I might love you right now, and after we come, that might change, and that's okay. We had a shared experience. We know this is not going to work. We can move on.
Right.
I love you. Be gone.
I love you till next time.
So you would actually call that love though, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Why? Oh, this is a topic I've unpacked with so many of my girls is like, why do we put so many like expectations and conditions on what love looks like?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so for me, I feel like you can experience so many different forms of love, pleasure, lust. They might all commingle and feel like more of one thing than the other.
Absolutely.
But when we say the words, we can mean it if we're saying it with the intent and the meaning to show that.
I mean, I'm generous in a lot of ways, right? But and when it comes to sex, I'm not generous at all. And I think that goes back to the control thing. Like everything needs to be on my terms and I need to receive pleasure in a very specific way. So when you name being generous in all those different areas, I feel like that's another area that you're generous in is pleasure, and I'm just not that. And I think when I first meet someone, I feel like I don't care about them, and so I'm not wanting to pleasure them. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Can I even just name something about that? Because I think it's probably going to be relatable for a lot of people, is sometimes that is a way that we reclaim things. Or like for you, sis, that's probably how you've reclaimed your autonomy and your choice and to feel, excited or empowered by all of these options and like be present with yourself in the moment. Yeah. Same thing on your end, Crit. I think it's fair to say that that's your way of reclaiming safety and not even the word control, because I think there can be a negative connotation to that. I really think what it is for you is like, you want to have say so, you want to have agency, you want to have choice. And that for a lot of people is a turn on. It's okay to feel comfort by those things. Like it is absolutely okay because the basic shit does a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, guys do like me telling them what to do to an extent.
Tell them.
Well, that's the other thing. I like to be going back to boyfriend shit. Like I like soft and all that shit. But I remember asking you this, Donato. I was like, are slings? Because I feel like I'm pretty vanilla. But I was like, are slings considered vanilla?
No. Slings are not vanilla. If you're needing to put up a contraption for pleasure, it's no longer vanilla. That's
big.
flavorful.
Listen, I'm 6'3". Like it's just easy. I mean, I'm
Who's in the
flexible.
swing crib?
I'm in the sling, but I'm saying like,
Can someone tell me what sling is? I'm so lost.
So it's this contraption that is either nailed into the ceiling or you have like these 4 bars up, and
A
it
swing
it's
or
a swing.
sling?
very much.
And a
okay.
sling.
Okay.
And it allows you to either like
flexible?
lay like this on it or the other side.
Adaptive?
And
Right.
you can swing it into position
Okay.
back and forth.
Listen, give my
just-
sis her partnership right now, sling. She just sold me on the sling. Now, what's the weight capacity on the sling, okay?
Listen.
Or do we need to just find the deadbolt or the stud in the wall and all that to make sure we ain't going nowhere,
I've
anywhere?
seen many a bodies on a swing. And everyone is welcome.
But also too, like the way that we play and the way that we find joy and pleasure, just like the both of you and your journeys remind me like it's so bold, but it's also very powerful for us to be talking about this because this is education in itself. Like we can break these taboo topics in ways that people can learn from, people can heal from, people can find excitement in. And like I think that's just the power of having these dialogues and being open about it without judgment or preconceived notions.
Yeah.
Right. Did you know that Earl Grey had an ice cream, Earl Grey tea?
Actually, yes. I'm a big ice cream girl.
How do y'all know?
I'm a big ice cream girl. But what this got to do with sex?
This guy wanted to eat it out of my ass and I let him. But I was like, is that something you've done before? Or is that something you would be?
That's absolutely the fuck off the table for me because I love ice cream, not ice cream in my ass. Like, I love ice cream, point blank, period. We'll leave it at that. But if you like it, I love it. So, do you want that,
I have
Grey?
had many things eaten out of my hole. Ice cream is on the list.
Okay. There's this cute little like Middle Eastern guy when I lived in Sydney. And he liked water sports. And he'd be like, can you just do it on my face? And I was like, no, because I like to kiss. And is it something that you would
That I've
enjoy?
done? Yes.
No.
Not that I enjoy. I've done it. I've been on the receiving end and on the giving end. A lot of the really risque things that I've done is actually tied to my history of like substance use and abuse. I had to learn and unpack for myself that I was just a girl that was like having so much fun, like doing P&P. And for those who don't know what that is a term, a shorthand term for what's called party and play. And it's the presumption that like you're engaging in sexual activity while you're using drugs, right? And so yeah, there's so much that I've done sexually. Like it's interesting when people are like, what's the most wildest thing you've ever done? I'm like, it's hard for me to pinpoint one because there's so many vastly different explorative experiences. But my introduction to that in some ways was also, I think, just like unpacking it through therapy was also like tied in a big way to my history with sex work and in a deeper way. And I think part of like my just generosity of spirit and self also comes from a place where not feeling worthy enough for love.
Yep.
So like feeling the need to like give to others what I think they want from me and my body in order to get the love and the care that I desire. So whether or not that meant harming my body more or putting myself through the ringer and like all of these different things. But I also, in a weird way, through that experience was also finding a level of safety.
Yep.
And that I could get lost in somebody else's body and in these really dark experiences. And it felt good
Yeah.
until it wasn't. It was
Right.
just like this messy ass place. But yeah, I think what I had to take a deeper look at for myself is I started to learn like when I was getting to a place too where I was like, using drugs in just like really risque ways. Like I was injecting things. I didn't care what the hell I was putting in my body. If it was there, I would take it. And even the men that I was engaging in sex work with, a lot of them, would also be using, just to name how easily accessible it was for someone like me.
Sure.
But when I started to unpack, like to a point where I remember there was one time I had to be on a work call by like 9 a.m. And this was during COVID and we're working from home. And I'd been up P&Ping with this guy like all night and making money on the side and like supporting all of these other things. And it was a very important meeting. And by like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I'm like, I can't sleep now.
Yeah.
Like I have to stay awake or else. And then he's like, I also got this one thing. And it was Molly. And I was like, just give it to me. I need something to like keep me going. I cannot believe I took a freaking Molly by like 8:15 and my meeting's at 9.
Yeah.
And like literally on the car, I'm like doing my best to like hold it the fuck together. I'm dripping sweat. I'm like,
Goodness.
it was not cute, but it's like, it became a pattern of behaviors to just chase the thrill of like suppressing all of these feelings and then trying to mask it by using other drugs to just keep it going, was just a vicious fucking cycle of like self-harm that I really need to take a deeper look at. And then when I was like, okay, the fact that you're using to this level of extent, so much more risky, like, girl, do you want to live or die?
So good. There's so much to unpack there. I mean, even just naming that a lot of times or sometimes we can use drugs, sex, unhealthy relationships, toxic spaces as a form of coping with these underlying things, whether it be like our own shit personally, family, trauma. And let us be very clear, trauma lives in the body. So it makes sense, like in some way, using our body as a way to cope, but also some people's exposure to sex may not have been by choice. And so that comes with layered pain, but it also robs people the opportunity to actually connect with themselves and find meaning when it comes to like being in these unhealthy spaces, going through traumatic shit. Like your body then becomes a way to cope. And sometimes it's to feel disconnected. Other times it's to feel stimulated by a substance to then feel connected. If that makes any sense at all.
It makes perfect
Very
sense.
that.
Okay.
Shit.
I am picking up what you were putting down, and that was a full read and accepted.
But also too, like the power of reclaiming. And like, that's why I love how you named earlier, like the desire around money and that being something that now you reclaim as validation. Like my worth and my value is not just monetary. That's one of many. And it feels fucking good when you pay the price. And I think that's beautiful that you reclaim that. You have reclaimed that in a way that serves you.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Oh gosh, you made me think about how with the queer movement, a lot of it is around feeling liberated around sex. But I think like a lot of people who are engaged in a lot of sex, it really is them trapped in it, like they're kind of locked in a cycle that I know I can say that for myself, right?
Yeah.
Where I don't feel liberated at all. It's actually a trap, I'm almost in a prison. I don't know, sometimes when I have these conversations, like when we're talking about men trying to get their numbers up and stuff, I think that like for a lot of people, for a lot of men especially, it is an addiction to sex and using that as a way to just validate themselves.
Yeah, an addiction in any form is a way that people are, one, disconnected from either themselves or like their own personal battles. And that's why we see the layers of addiction, any form, and mental health. Like they go hand in hand. And again, it's a survival mechanism, meaning this is all dysfunction. None of these behaviors are going to be sustainable in a healthy way, but it is a survival mechanism. And so how do we disrupt that cycle?
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, I know for my mom, she had gambling issues. I know other family members, it's eating, it's drugs. For myself, I've always struggled with addiction around sex, and that's what led to substance abuse. And so it's, so much of it is rooted in internalized homophobia. Like, even though I've been out for like 8 or so years, and I've been having a lot of gay sex since I was 18. I've been,
A lot of gay sex.
A lot of that. My relationship it still isn't a healthy one, I'll say,
Yeah,
So-
it's not linear either. I'm sure like there's been moments of better, worse,
Right.
that spectrum. And also too, like the power of just naming things is the beginning stages of it, which I will say is like, this is what it looks like to have open dialogue around these taboo topics. And a lot of us who are Pacifica come from spaces where they're fear-based teachings. We perpetuate the cycle when we don't give language to the things that we all know as humans we experience. Sex is one of those things.
Because we don't know all that much around, our culture pre-colonization. I mean, we know that sex was a lot freer. How do we kind of get back to that place, of feeling whole, I guess?
I would say start to be curious. Be curious about the things that you've already, translated in your life, whether that's about relationships, sex, mental health, and then allow yourself to also be open, because sometimes the things that we are living is really just what we've been forced to learn our whole life. So if we can be curious, if we can be gentle. Also, I think it's very important to say this: sex work, addiction, drugs, sex addictions, none of that is the actual problem here. The problem is the way that society, culture, family, religion starts to frame it. So if we can start disrupting even that narrative, I think we can start moving.
Yeah.
I think for me, what's really helped is recognizing that so many things needed to change,
Yeah.
right? The relationships that I cultivate and carry now look much more deeper. Also being so much more brutally honest with myself and to those around me about what I'm going through and what I'm facing to dispel shame has been a big help. Also finding ways to restrict some of my pleasures, right? In a way that doesn't get me in a loopy out of control, because the addict in me will go 0 to 100 real quick with anything.
Right.
So how do I repurpose that energy elsewhere, right? As we've talked about all of these multiple layers, like when I started to look at my relationship to drugs, my relationship to sex, and just like my relationship to food even, and changing my relationship to all of those things changed everything. Right now, the way I'm moving in life, I'm celibate right now, y'all. Can you believe it? But in order to get to a place of celibacy, like I had to create this intent around when it comes to dating, sex is not on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm clear about that. I'm interested now in like truly developing a friendship and knowing if we can like each other enough to even go there. But I'm restricting that. Right? When it comes to drugs, I'm not using drugs anymore, right? When it comes to food, it's like trying to like eat better and more healthier. And the results that I've seen over these last 3 years have like, y'all changed my life. Like my skin, I used to break out all over here. It was like horrendous. And like I would use so much makeup to cover up all of that. And now like I just feel the glow up and I don't want to turn back around, y'all.
Okay.
These are the benefits.
I mean, and all of that rooted in an act of self-love, self-respect, even resistance to certain things. So, I mean, also to encouragement to anyone who that resonates with, it's like giving yourself the opportunity to do something different. The antidote to shame really is exposure with love. So if we can be intentional about that, you might be 3 years in glowing like this too.
Hello. Going back to your point, there's so many things beneath it, and that's what informs so many of our behaviors. And it all comes back to like just loving yourself. And that's a journey, constantly. I mean, for me, it's a huge journey. And even though we've been programmed so much by religion and whatever other outside forces there are, it's possible to deprogram it, because
100%.
that's not what's most natural to us. Yeah.
We were not meant to live in survival or dysfunction. That's why those things are harmful, is because they were never intended to be sustainable. Sure, it's a part of the journey, but it's not the only part of the journey. And we can't get stuck there because we deserve so much more. And I want to just say, too, as we close out, I appreciate you both so much for being so vulnerable, being so open, having fun, letting me hear about your journeys and the sling thing.
Okay.
I love that.
Said, let me add that to the card.
I appreciate y'all so much for doing that, though.
Thank you, sis. Thank you for
you.
holding space for both of us through these, what can be tough topics, but is easier to talk about. And I hope it's easier for you at home.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, fam.
Thank you.
And on that note, Bye.
Bye.